Alright folks, this video we are going to install an LGA 1700 CPU. That's 12th gen. Doesn't really matter which one we're using. They all should be compatible with this CPU cooler, and they're definitely compatible with the motherboard. Alright, so first thing to do is obviously get your CPU, and I'm just going to take it out of a neighboring motherboard. Alright, so we have a triangle here, little plastic triangle shown there, and on the CPU itself, the bottom corner, you'll see a triangle there as well. If we can get this to focus, right there. Okay, this can go in only one way. I'm going to pop this open. Now there are grooves on top that stop you from turning this 180 degrees. And obviously, you know, one side is longer than the other, right? The other aspect, reading left to right, I/O shield on the left, so you can also look at it from that aspect. All right. Now some people do screw CPUs up, so just be careful. You know, two hands are better than one putting it in here. Put it down gentle, okay? Now I'll take a look at it. It wasn't sitting flush. Now it should be. So the top of this green board should be flush with the outside, this gray area, okay? And it is. So now we can take this and just basically press that down. And obviously this is not the CPU cover that came with this motherboard. Alright, so that's down. Now you're going to take the lever arm and boom. Of course you couldn't see it from that angle because my hand was in the way. Let's do that again. Taking it down and boom. Okay. So that's in there nice and tight. Alright. Eventually we will put thermal paste on here, okay? Right now though, we are going to put our ring in that comes with the Thermaltake UX200 SE. So I have gone ahead and put 3 of these in just so you can see it, okay? This is what you're going to start with, is basically this empty opening. You're going to want to put the plastic inserts into that far one if you're doing LGA 1700. If you're doing 1151 or 1200, you'll move this in so it's closer. Alright, let's look at the directions real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so there's the plastic ring, the insert, and eventually we're going to put these screws in here. You can see over here in this detail, it shows you the outer ring is 1700 and the inner is 1151, 1200. Alright. So you don't want to lose these things or break them. I'm going to put that in now. Like I said, it's going in the far outside one. So it's in, and then we press it in. Make sure all these are in good. Alright. So next step, you want to lift this up off the a hard surface. And oh, this is important. See these protrusions here? You want these basically oriented in this direction. Alright. If your plan is to have your CPU cooler oriented this way, you must do it this way. If you wanted it this way, then you would rotate that ring 90 degrees. Alright. So we'll line these up and we're going to press them in and make sure they're in there good. Alright. So now folks, the screws are going to go in there. And you're just using your finger strength. If you're not strong enough, get somebody to help you, but it doesn't take a lot of force to get these in here. Actually, I think this is the second time I've had to install this, so they were a little more difficult the first time, which kind of scares you when you reuse some cheap plastic like this. So that's in there, folks. All right. Now we need thermal paste, if we can find some. There was some in the packaging, but I'm going to use a different brand. Right, never mind. We'll use what was included. This is if I was using a better CPU in here, then I would most likely use higher thermal paste or better thermal paste, right? Because the stuff that's included with these is not top quality. Matter of fact, I doubt these guys even produce their own thermal paste. They probably buy it and repackage it. Alright, so it's in there, and there's honestly looks like more than what was needed for a single installation. Folks, now comes the fun part. This is actually a pain in the ass. You'll want to hook this on. Let's try and do the side that you can see first, then we'll rotate 180 degrees. So just trying to hook that on. All right. Now when we come to the other side, this is where it's going to get potentially more difficult. You may have a heatsink that blocks you if you're watching this and doing something like these don't have the massive heatsinks here, but if you do have massive heatsink, this will make this a lot more difficult. And boom. You guys probably did not see that. That's what it's going to look like, okay? So I pressed down. These things are such a pain in the butt to get off here at the end. But I pressed down on this once I got it around, and it hooked on there, okay? Now, as you can see, this CPU is symmetrical. Sometimes you have to be careful that it's not. In this case, we're going to put the fan on this side. Before we put the fan on, let's see if it blocks any of our RAM slots. If it does, so depending on what RAM you have, if you have really thick RAM, you may have to put it on if you've got 4 sticks. Of course, if you have a pair of RAM, you're going to start in these light gray spots, right? If you're going with 4 sticks, then this one might end up being a problem. All right, let's put our CPU cooler on. Never mind the other packaging in the background. All right. So one of the nice things is they pretty much always put the nice side out, right? So this is going to go on this side. This is the intake side, and then this is the exhaust side. All right. These cables, we want them basically to end up on this end of it. And just so you can see, here's the I/O side. All right. Now, another fun aspect of these, a lot of times you get crappy brackets to attach the fan with, and or you spend time trying to figure this out. So, like I said, we want this one dangling from the underside. And the question will be, folks, whether this goes, looks like these are going to go through the top. Yeah, so it's going to look like that, all right? So we'll do one side that you guys can see, and then you'll duplicate that for the other side. So that's in there, okay? Now you're going to have to hold that, and hopefully you have the other bracket lying around where you can get to it easy enough. Right there. Now let's go ahead and rotate this. Give you another angle at it. And I'm basically taking these through to the top holes. If I can find those top holes. Okay. And then pulling this into position. And boom. Okay. Next. What's next, folks? We've got to attach these cables, right? So we have a 4-pin. So you don't have to run this with the ARGB if you don't want it, if the lights drive you nuts. But you do need to attach the 4-pin into the location for your CPU fan header, which for me is right here. If I can get that in there. And be careful, you don't want to break those pins. Now, question is, this cheap motherboard, does it actually have ARGB on it? That is the $1 million question, folks, and I don't know for a fact it does. Actually, it does. Has one ARGB. So this is going to look kind of ugly. The way this is gonna, this cable's gonna run across here. But if you want ARGB, that's what you're gonna do. All right. So we have a missing pin, missing hole on here, right? And then this is 3 pins. So you'll want to drop that in nice and gently. Okay. And boom, you're done. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.